What's going on, Juneteenth family?
I have to take the lead because if I don't now, when will I do it?
These are all dance groups mixes from since 90.
And risks are important. Risk creates results.
Make sure that you surround yourself with not only the word, but with positivity.
Foremost for having me on for Lunch and Learn.
We start off by wearing all of the hats. Pun intended right there. All the hats.
But we start special needs children and civilians. I have over 30 years plus experience as a quality professional.
We basically reconstructed what we took part in deconstruct all of street maintenance. That's how we came up with street maintenance.
I almost had to deal with MCA Records at the age of 19.
Wait I also partner with other daycares. We're not in a competition yet. We're not in a competition.
What's going on, Juneteenth family? Another episode of the Lunch and Learn. I am your host, Kiara, aka Ambi. I am happy to be here with you today. And as always, I have somebody special joining us today. Okay, we're going to be talking about shaping the souls and so many different unique things today. I am talking about Lorna Brown. She is a talented playwright and entrepreneur with a passion for storytelling. She creates plays, blacklight production, and more. She owns the Creative Workshop Inc. Theater, and that specializing in faith-based and family-friendly productions. I got something to talk to her about with the faith-based and all that. We're going to talk. Soul Quotes by CWI in an Etsy store selling inspirational phrases. As a community leader, she's a member of St. Jude Partner in Hope, and she has started a foster closet to support those in need. And she's also affiliated with Celebrating Black Theater, Theater Beyond Broadway, and other esteemed organizations. Can we please extend a warm welcome and welcome Lorna to our show? How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for that warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. So before we jump into anything, please give us some background about, your upbringing, who you are, and, how do we get to Lorna sitting across from us today?
I'm from the island of Jamaica.
Okay.
And I'm what they call a preacher's kid. I'm a PK, so I've been in the church all my life, watching, singing and dancing and doing all that stuff. But as a child growing up, there's always something you want to do as a child that separates you from the adult. Because if you're going to be in church, you want to make sure it's not too boring. You got to be there, make it your child friendly. So that's what I wanted to do, and that's my way of expressing myself. Because I was not that outspoken, but I'm more in action and writing. I write my thoughts. And so by writing my thoughts, I start creating plays and poems and all these stuff. So I've been doing that back home. And then when I came here to the States, I start doing it as a part of the youth department. So whenever there's any programs for the youth department, that's what I do. I get them involved by singing and dancing, blacklight productions, anything that I could do to have them be involved. And now it gets to the part where I'm doing it also with other departments when they're having their anniversary, like the missionary anniversary, the men's department, whatever functions they're doing, fundraising, I'm the one they call in to get these activities going to keep things alive and fresh.
Okay. So a lot to unpack there. I can absolutely relate to you on the writing part, with the expression of, because I'm an author myself and poetry is my thing. So when would you say that you realize, like, okay, you know what, let me actually express these thoughts and what I'm feeling or these emotions, or just get out whatever I have inside? What age would you say, and what was like the true inspiration behind that?
I think as far back as I can remember, and it wasn't just writing poems, it was just writing anything. Like even with my father, if I wanted to miss a day at school, it was easier for me to write it. I want to stay on for whatever reason, because he's that kind
Mm-hmm.
of person, and you get nervous when he's answering, like, why you want to stay on? And I'm not quick at giving an answer verbally. So I
Yeah.
plan my thoughts, and I present him with this beautiful note and expressing everything. Then he's a great dad, and I love school. I know you want me to be in school, but guess what? If I stay home, I'll still learn. My friends will bring the homework, to me, and I'm giving all those expressions. And I realize, yeah, I'm good at doing that.
I got something else.
So
I'm good
yeah,
at
I got that. Yeah. So if it's gonna be a compliment, if I'm gonna be cussing you out, if I'm gonna be arguing, whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna write it down. That way I won't stutter and you won't miss the point.
Right.
It's
Let's
written.
let's
Yes.
get straight to the point. Let me be direct and let me make sure I add every detail that's needed here.
Yes.
That's
me.
definitely important. Of course, when we talk about storytelling, and the art of storytelling, just as a creative, the ability to be able to take a story wherever you want to, especially with like writing plays and different productions. What would you say is your favorite part of the creative process of writing? And what is your method like now when you feel yourself? Is it just like whatever you feel, you just write it out, or do you have a strategic way of like planning things out and organizing and so on and so forth?
Sometimes I'll get ideas before it's time for me to write something. So I'll have a list of ideas just jot down. I remember I saw a soldier. It was years back. I was standing at the bus stop, and I just got fired from McDonald's. Yeah, and I'm standing at the bus stop like, yeah, whatever, McDonald's. And I
Uh-huh.
saw this soldier while I was waiting on my bus, but it was just something about him. He was just so neatly dressed, and he was just standing there. And the song, it's an old song, came to me, Wounded Soldier. I forgot who was the person who sang that song. And so I was like, that Wounded Soldier. And I start creating something about Wounded Soldier in my mind. And then a couple months later, we had an anniversary for my pastor. And I remember that song about Wounded Soldier. And so I created that. And the soldiers that I had was like the missionaries, the men's department, all the leaders, and I show them as soldiers that were wounded inside. So even though they were at their post at church, they were also wounded spiritual soldiers, and that's how I made that play. And that was a big thing. I did a dance. So it's like, for instance, the missionary was dressed in a missionary outfit, but there was like a hidden bottle somewhere on that soldier. So it was a wounded soldier still struggling with drinking, but you're still a missionary. So I was using all that stuff. So ideas will come to me before it's time for me to use it, because I'm always flowing with ideas. And then if I get a question to, can you do something for this department? I go back and I say, I remember something came to me that will fit this spot. And I could go back and just continue working on that.
Yes. Yeah. And I definitely can relate to, just even gradually over time, just like you said, that thought of that soldier came into play later on, but you knew just capturing that moment that like, this could possibly mean something, not knowing where it plays, but it placed somewhere, and that was intricate and that was important. Incorporating, I know you were saying something about the youth, we're working with the youth and things like that. How do we get to the point of where you're like, okay, you know what, let me get involved and let me get the youth involved. What was that transition?
Because I know I always like working with the youth and with children. I think they're honest. I love their honesty. So working with them, if they don't like something, if they don't want to do something, they're just going to get to the point, we'll address it and move in. Adults, you got to hear from 6 people saying, she said, he said, they said, and by the time it gets to you, you're too upset to deal with it. But the kids will say to my face, like, I don't like that dance. I don't want to dance. Okay, why? Let's address it. And it's done. So I like working with the youth department. So when I started at church, we knew them from Jamaica, but when I came to the church, I asked if I could be a part of the youth department. I asked to be a part of that department, and so I could use my skills. So when I started, as I said, most of the time they didn't all they had was just a poems. They were just doing poems back then. If you do department, you just do a poem and a song. And I knew I wanted to do other stuff. So when I approached my pastor and I asked, could I include some praise dance and all these stuff? And he said, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not familiar with that. But you said, I trust you that you're going to do the right thing and you're not going to embarrass me in the church, you know, bringing something that we're not familiar with, because I know you from you were a child, I know your dad, so I know what you stand for, you know what I stand for. So I'm going to open that platform to you. I'm going to trust you, you know, and I've been doing that for over 30 years now, and I've never had an issue with him saying, oh, you went the wrong way, you know, and I keep incorporating different things. It's been going for years with that. Yes.
So 30 years, first of all, I'm 33, so that's my lifespan right there. That's definitely a long time. What is some of the most memorable performances or presentations or productions that you would say, like, or is it like, you know, because I know sometimes that people, even with productions, it's like, I might do this production once a year. You know, we have like the, you know, the Christmas production, or we have that, like, what are some of your most memorable productions, and can you like walk us through how do you, from the moment of like, okay, yes, we're going to do this. Is it like a casting? Is it like, how does that whole production phase work?
Okay. So the last one we did last year, last youth congress, the youth department, I just made that announcement. If you're a part of the youth department or you feel young enough to be a part of what we are presenting for the youth weekend, just show up for us and then I'll find something for you to do. And last year, I'm trying to remember the name of the song. I know we did a song, I think it was a Ezekiel Walker song we did last year, and it not going back. Okay, so the theme was not going back, moving forward. So you're moving forward, you know, kids were getting ready to go to college, all the things they want to move forward from. So that was the theme. So I wanted to use that song about going back and moving forward. So what I wanted the young people, I asked each of them to write something that you want to let go of. You don't want to go back to whatever you're struggling with. And what I did, I have them sit in their special, wherever they want to sit. You know, there was this young man, he plays the keyboard. There was another young lady plays the keyboard. One is on the guitar, one is in the radio room. I say, stay in your specific spot. And then I'm going to just have you, I had them pre-taped because I know they were nervous. So they pre-taped what they want to walk away from. And so it had everybody just bawling because they didn't know what the kids were going to say. And this young man, he walked up. His mom was sitting in the front row next to me because I was watching him. He was coming from the radio room and he was saying, I'm not going back to doing everything that please others. I want others to know who I am, and I'm going to try to please me. And I'm struggling, trying to make sure everybody's happy, but then I'm not happy, you know. So, and the next one is walking down and she's saying, this school year, I'm not going to follow the bullies. I know it felt good to be a part of that group, but I'm not going back to that. And it was just, they were just coming, and the parents were just looking at them and crying because most of these parents didn't know what their kids were feeling because they were just too nervous to express, this is what I'm feeling. But once they walk up and they're saying that, and, you know, it's over the mic, you know, the room was just so loud with their voices because it was pre-taped, and I'm not going back. I'm not going to be that. This is who I am. I'm not going, I'm moving forward. And they were just all talking and talking. So once they get up, then the song starts and they start dancing to that song, not going back and moving forward. And it just breaks out into that dance. And that was real deep because after they got done, they left the stage. And when I'm looking for them, they went to change. They wouldn't come back out. And I went in the ladies' room, and all the young ladies were just huddled together, just bawling to themselves. And it was just a relief for them to say that. You know, because there's this other one she was talking. I'm tired of people telling me I'm overweight. I'm comfortable. If you want to help me, tell me how to lose the weight. Don't tell me I'm too fat. So that was our thing. So they were just huddled together, and the young men were in the men's room crying, and everybody was just, it was so, you know, we're just crazy, but it brought the best out in them. Because when I do things with young people, I try to make sure it relates to them. I don't want to just do something because I want to do it. It has to be a lesson learned. At the end of that production, you have to learn something about yourself through that production, and others will learn from you and about themselves and about you also. So it's all a learning process, not just an entertainment. It's more about the learning process while you do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's beautiful. And you said something very, very important. I think that, just releasing something,
Yeah.
it takes so much weight off of us as adults, but even as kids, we often, because I've had my share of like working with the youth, and I know how important just that mentorship and that having a relationship with kids is to them, because not everybody can express themselves to their parents, or they don't feel comfortable, or they might not feel seen or heard in that outlet of, sometimes as adults, we're like, oh, you kids, you ain't got nothing to worry about. What you got? You ain't got no real stress. You don't got nothing on your mind. But they absolutely, in their world, it's things that's happening, that's real. So just having and to be able to express this through church, in the church, and through religion and spirituality, I think that that's an even deeper connection, just on a spiritual level of like really understanding and being in tune with yourself, aligning with God, and just really putting certain things into perspective. So I think that that's amazing. And I commend you for doing that, because it's definitely needed. It's needed on a broad span, in all places, but absolutely in these places that we go to for those reasons. Like we go to church for that, for that. I guess I want to say like security, but like for that comfort of I can be accepted.
A safe space.
Yes. I think that that's absolutely wonderful. And even in thinking of that, do you think that is any challenges, or have you faced any challenges in during these processes of like production with like, okay, I want to produce this, but I want it to be, organic. I want it to be real. I want it to be heartfelt. But it's kind of a breakthrough, like even with that situation of like being able to get the kids to really express that, it could have been challenging. I don't know, but just have you, faced any challenges, not even like in particular with that production, but just overall with like, these ideas and wanting to get these things done?
Yeah, sometimes there might be a few challenges with other adults, because they might try to relate to the young people themselves, and they don't get that much from them. Even some of the parents are like, how do you get them to say that? And I've been working with them. But the thing is that you got to know them in and outside of the church. Yeah. You can't just know them when you see them this Sunday and then you know them again next Sunday. You got to check in. And I check in with them often. I'll just text them randomly during the week, and I'll just text a name, and I just, hey, how you doing? Just saying I love you. That's it. And I was hope you're having a great day. And I randomly text, and you'll be surprised at the answers that they were just waiting for someone to say that. They say, hey, I'm glad you text. You know what a teacher was mean to me today about, and my coworker, because even they're old enough to be working, my coworker said this, I struggle with that today, but I'm okay. They always need someone to check in. So once you learn to check in and see them as individuals, when it's time for you to work with them, it's easy to work with them, because they know you're not just using them as pawn because you want them to do something for you. So once I start working with them, I said, okay, get yourself involved. You know what you're going through. So when you're doing this dance, I want you to make it your reality. And so they're just real. They're raw with what they're doing. It's pretty real for them. So that's what I do. I check in with them continuously.
That's beautiful. In doing dances, do you create the choreography for the dances, or is that like creatively created from the youth themselves, or how does that work like exactly with like the production of the dance?
I go with the creation because, as I said, everything just I'm just flooding with ideas. I'm overwhelmed at times, but I love it. Because just like getting the plays together, I'll hear a song, and pretty soon I'm listening to that song, and I'm already seeing a dance for that song, and I put that in my archive. So when it's time to do something, I pull that song, I already have the dance. I'll present it to them, But then we'll work together if we want to tweak something, fix something, change it from, okay, let's not go left, we'll go right. I said, okay, we'll do that.
Mhm.
But I already have an outline. I'll have an
Yeah.
outline ready for them, and then we take it from there.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want to jump to CWR, the Soul Quotes. I know you have an Etsy store. How did that whole idea come about, and what motivated like the choice and design and the quotes and the inspiration? I know it's faith-based. What was the motivation behind that?
Because loving to write, that's also something I like to write. I always like to inspire, I like to encourage. So I'm always saying a sentence here to someone, just saying something based on what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So and it not necessarily has to be, say, it's from the Bible or something about God, but it might just be a struggling mom or dad or someone, and I'll have a sentence or something. And then I think one of my girls suggests, why don't you just put that on a t-shirt or something and sell, because you're always saying stuff. And so
Yeah.
then I start like doing throw pillows or wall decors, and I try to put it on stuff that they can have in front of them, so they'll always be encouraged. And I figure the throw pillows or the wall decors, so that those are, I know everybody's using cups, so I try to stay away from cups, because after a while you're gonna put them away, you're not gonna be using all the cups, so you won't be
Yeah.
seen. So I do
Yeah.
that. I do for baby items. I do like the baby hats or sleepwear, blankets. So I do stuff that I know they'll use daily, so they'd always be reminded of the words and those quotes. So that's how I came about with the Etsy store. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And just with that, I'm familiar with creating and like the fashion side of creation as well. But I know that it's also not easy when you're like the concepts and the ideas are
Mm-hmm.
that's the easy part of the creation process, but actually finding who your target audience is and pitching an idea to them, because of course immediately we have our family, our friends, the
Right.
community, but when you're passionate about something, of course you want the outreach to reach further than your immediate
Right.
your
Yeah.
immediate circle. So in creating the Etsy store, have you like has the reach been as expected as you wanted? Is it like, something that was easy to do? Is it something that, like, if somebody was watching this right now and they're like, oh, you know what? I had an idea, like, how do I go about doing something like that? How do I create an Etsy store? How do I,
Mm-hmm.
even start with that? What advice would you give them?
Creating the store is easy, because I didn't even know about Etsy store until somebody told me, check out the Etsy store. So I just went online, pull up the Etsy store, and it was easy. The instructions and everything was easy. And
Mm-hmm.
I do some of my printing through Printify. You could do
Okay.
Shopify or Printify. You could use either one of them to help with the creation. That's very expensive a bit to do, or you
Mm-hmm.
can make your own stuff at home. So some of the stuff I started with Printify, and I'm gradually making it at home. So I'm going to be pulling away from Printify after a while, because they
Yeah.
do get a profit after. So that way I'll keep that profit to myself. But
Right.
it's not hard setting up. It's very, very competitive once you're on, because during the day I could get so many views, so many people check on my store, but how many people are going to actually buy? And they'll
Right.
find somebody else, maybe because of the price or whatever. But you do draw a lot of people to your store, so it's very competitive. So right now, most of my sales are coming from people that I know
Mm-hmm.
for now.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, but I mean, I enjoy writing and I enjoy having it up there. And I'm gonna just keep going. One of this day, it will get bigger, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about being a member of the St. Jude Partner in Hope. Um, Tell us about that and your community initiatives with being a part of that organization.
Well, what we do is we do send a monthly donation to St. Jude's, And then we also participate in the yearly walk.
Okay.
So that's our way of giving to the kids. We do participate in the walk, and they get the monthly donation. So that's basically what we're doing for them right now. Yes.
And you have the foster closet as well, right?
Yes, the foster closet. I'm working on. I'm still in the process of putting that together, getting the items together. I worked for the city for years. So for me to do the foster closet, I'm trying to send back to those children that I worked with in foster care, but because of the link with me working for them, it's hard for me to go both ways. I have to be separated from that job for a period of time before I can, it would be a conflict for me to be
Right.
working on both sides. So unfortunately, I've been separated from them now because of medical reason. I haven't been working since for the last 2 years. So I can easily transition now as work in my foster closet with them since I've been home for the last 2 years. So I'm getting ready now to sign up with them. I already spoke with them, so I'm in the final phase. So once I signed up, once a child is in foster care, the foster parent can reach out to me if they need certain things. I'm trying to have certain care packages because working in the city, I realize when kids come into foster care, all they have is a plastic bag, a garbage bag with their stuff. That's how you pick them up from the home and they're just stuffing things in garbage bags and nothing fancy. So I'm trying to have tote bags for them, and somewhere where the foster parents can shop for stuff, used but usable,
Yeah.
and it's not going to cost them. I'm just going to have it set up. You get a teenager, you need certain items for the teenager, you could come to my closet and we could pick out something for that teenager and have nice bags for them to transition from their home to their new home without having to be dragging a garbage bag around. So that was one of my reasons for starting this foster closet, from stuff that I saw while working with the agency. I'm just trying to make that better for these children.
Yeah, and that's very important. And it makes me really think about, how blessed that we are to be able to be in position, just for you to experience that and to see it, and to say, okay, I'm not just gonna see it and keep on doing it. Like, I have to
Right.
be the change, make a difference, even if
Yes.
just me individually doing something is still a step closer to making a difference for somebody else in somebody else's life. And just again being there and supporting and showing up for somebody is beyond what we know it to be for somebody who don't have that, for
Right,
somebody who don't
definitely.
have it means everything. So just talking to you, I see that the outpouring of you giving yourself and
Yes.
being open and available to so many people around you that might need it. I want to ask you, and I often ask our guests, how do you pour back into yourself? Like, what practices, or how do you make sure that you're replenishing yourself at the same time as you giving so much of yourself to others as well?
I need to work on that. My kids always remind me I need to work on that. And they told me, said, Mom, after a show, after an event, you need to take a few days and just sit back and not think, turn your cap off, turn that thinking cap off. But, I'm always transitioning, because just last month I was, doing the missionary had their weekends. I was doing stuff for them. Then the women's weekend was the following week. Then we had Mother's Day, had to do gifts for the mothers. So, I'm not an outgoing person that much right now, maybe for health reasons. But what I do is, as I said, just sit back, watch your favorite show, don't answer the phone, don't check your email, don't do anything. And I find that worked. It was hard for me to do, but I tried doing that. And I was like, so Mondays are my day. When I said is my lazy day, I'm not checking email or phone. And on Mondays, I get up, I make my coffee, and I find my line of show and I just sit in my couch and I try not to think about anything. And that
Yeah.
works. It's just one day, but I'm moving up to a couple more days. But that Monday off is good. So for now,
Yeah.
that's my day.
I think that is, especially with us women, with a lot of the women guests that we have, and I talk to them and I ask them, like, just as nature, we're nurturers, we givers, we love on our kid, like
Yeah.
that is our superpower,
Right.
of
Right.
just giving and making sure everybody is good, but sometimes we forget to take care of this one right here,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's almost like a guilt sometimes of like, well, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time, but you make time to do stuff for everybody else. And it's like, okay, so the self-awareness part of, I know I got to do better is a
Yes.
absolute step toward doing better. And, it just speaks to just growth, growth overall of us just growing within. And I love that one of our past guests, she said, just to be honest, I find pockets of like, self-care or happiness or things like, just small things like being able to sit down and watch TV is something
Yeah.
that replenishes me, or, being able to talk on the phone with my friends or just have a good laugh, or, whatever
Yes.
that may be. Those are things that we need, sometimes just to feel like, okay, I'm all right. Like,
Yes.
I'm okay. I'm getting through it. I'm figuring it out and all that's going on. So, I think that's very important. What are some of what advice would you give to a younger version of you in today's point of where you are in life? What advice would you say you would give to the younger version of yourself?
Step out more for yourself, because as you said, most of what I did and most of what I'm doing is for others. Because I just started about 2022 to take my plays outside of the church. As much as I enjoyed doing it for the church, I was just doing it for the church, and then I sit back and I watch everyone enjoy it. But I wasn't doing it actually for myself. And I remember I did a Christmas program, and I remember after the program is done, my pastor said, one of these days we're going to go to Broadway and watch our show. We're going to pay to see her in Broadway. And I took that idea and I said, maybe this is my cue to do stuff outside also for me. And so I start participating in playwright festivals and other stuff. So that's what I would advise my younger self, or any younger person doing that, is do it for others and also for you. So doing it in the church, that's for the church, and the playwright festivals, that's for me.
Yeah.
Where I can, be me, do it the way I want to do it. So I'm glad I took that advice from my pastor when he said that. And that's my encouragement to other younger people, to make sure you are part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Make sure you're part of what you're doing.
I like that. Make sure you're a part of what you're doing. I like that a lot, for sure. And I said to myself yesterday, as I was just doing some work and prepping for the week and getting through some things, I was like, everybody want to own a business, everybody want to have a business, but you have to learn how to own a business. You know what I'm saying? You have to know how to make sure you're a part of what you're doing, just that. And that just clicked. It did like a parallel to my thought with that, what you saying, that I was like, yeah, that's real, of like, you have to sometimes actually be in the moment of not just like getting it done, but okay, let me be present in the moment of what am I doing? What is actually going on? What's happening? And how is this happening? How can I be here like fully 1,000%? So I hear you on that for sure. And even with your involvement, to mention your involvement with celebrating Black theater and Theater Beyond Broadway and Torch Barriers for Black theater. those influences, or how would you say those being involved in those productions or theaters, just that artistic perspective, how did that influence or switch anything on for you when it came to, you know, just your personal ideas?
Well, they're very encouraging to be a part of, even if it's just on their Facebook page, just to keep up with what they're doing, and maybe one or two events I'll go to. It's encouraging. It's something to feel like you're a part of. So even if there are days when I feel like, what am I really doing? Let me give it up. And then I'm listening to them, I'm watching them on Facebook. It encourages, like, keep going. You got this, keep going. So that's my main focus, being a part of this group. These groups are just for the encouragement. They have great advice, and they'll let you know that it's not about the age. So you don't have to think, okay, I'm at that age where I need to stop, because you'll always know about people who started way older than me, and they're,
Yeah.
you know, doing great. And it's just feeding your passion. It's just feeding your passion, doing what you love until you can't do it no more. You
Yeah.
know, and I love that encouragement. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure. What future projects or future goals do you have in mind when you think of like theater or production, or, you know, maybe something that you've been wanting to do for a long time that you haven't gotten to yet? Anything like that?
Well, the last musical I did last year, Unlikely Angels, it didn't get to the level I wanted, so I'm still working on that, because I love that excitement from Shenyang. That's the name. Am I saying it right? Shenyang, the Chinese. I think it's Chinese
Yes,
theater.
I know. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I'm getting it right. Right. So I
Yeah.
love those colors and excitement, and I love sight and sound. So I love that combination. It's a faith-based slash excitement, and that's what I wanted with my show. So I just did it last year, but I'm still working on getting it to that top level. I'm not
Yeah.
giving up. That's where I want to take it. I want it to be filled with a lot of young people in costume and dancing and singing and all over the stage, just breathtaking.
No,
That's where I want to go with that show.
definitely. And even when I've seen like promotion for those shows, it's absolute, like the colors are immaculate.
Yeah.
You mesmerized by just looking at, like, oh, like what you want to know more, you know.
Yes.
It looks great. So absolutely, those are great ideas. When you think about community, and like church community outside the church, how do we merge the two to make everybody feel welcome? Like, I feel like, you know, sometimes our communities are sometimes like, all right, you know what, maybe on the outskirts of, maybe I'm not good enough to go to church, or maybe like you have to be a certain way or a certain person or a certain, like, how do we welcome and invite everybody to be a part of something as amazing as, you know, what you're trying to put together, helping the youth, today's youth? It's hard to get them off their phones. It's hard to, you
Right.
know, to actually engage or to want to show up for something. How do we do that in today's society? Well, what do you think on that?
Well, that's one thing, as my pastor always said. Um, you don't wait you don't wait for a change before you come to church. You come to church to be changed. So
Mm-hmm.
if we are going to wait for you to be perfect before you come through the doors, then we're not going to have anybody in the church,
Yeah.
right? So with the young people, you could come out broken and messed up, however you might feel about yourself. Come on in, be a part, and eventually that change will come faster than you expected. We don't have to go and beat it over your head and say you got to change, you got to change. But if the spirit is real, if the spirit of God is real, once you walk through those doors, the change will be made. We have like a deacon in our church right now, and he'll testify a lot of times about when he was young and the type of person he was before he started church, and now the transition. But when he walked through the doors, he had all these earrings, and he was just looking the way he thought he needed to look.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's slowly transitioned, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and he's not wearing the earrings. He's not doing certain things anymore that, you know, he's not supposed to be doing within
Yeah.
himself. But no one came and had to beat over him and force him. And you have a deadline to clean yourself up. You have a deadline to stop drinking and smoking or whatever you're doing. you come, you listen to the word, you participate, and eventually you'll have your own personal conviction. And so that's what we try to do with the young people when we invite them in. Come on in, be a part of the church, and you make that change whenever you're convicted to make that change. It's not a deadline, it's not a limit, it's not a thing to check off once you come through the doors.
Yeah. And I think that just really relaying that message is most effective in certain instances, because for whatever reason, sometimes people think that, and it might, be illuminated in that way or sense. But, to just speak on what you said, that's the truth. Like, if we waited for that, it would be no such thing,
No such thing. Yeah, it's not, no
would be
one's perfect.
So that's real. I think that's that's definitely important. I think just as a people as a whole, as Black people, as just people in general, people need support. We need each other. We need unity. We need to feel and understand and know that I'm not alone. Like, somebody else that I might think have it all together, they might be going through the same thing, or they might be going through something worse, or they might be like everybody. We all have our day. We all have our own thing that is traumatic or like whatever to us, and that's what life is like. Getting through these phases and getting through these stages, and just coming out better and being better for yourself, not for anybody else. So I absolutely agree with that. I want to ask you with, I know May being Mental Health Awareness Month, what are some other like key things that mentally, like with mental health or mental health awareness or anything like that, if you do implement into like your daily life or with working with the youth or anything like that? Are there any practices or things that you use?
Well, for myself, and I tell that to the youths and my children also, is that you gotta do you, and it's not in a selfish way. Like for example, if you're gonna call me, I see your number, I know you're calling me, and know I'm gonna be aggravated by your call. I'm not gonna answer you. And I'm going to be honest with you before, because I'm going to say to you, if I know you're going to be a problem, I'll say, Amber, if you call me and I don't answer you, it's not because I don't want to talk to you, it's because mentally I'm not ready to hear your voice. Right? And then I'll answer. And, I have this one particular person, she'll just call me 10, 15 times straight, open her answer. And she leave a voicemail. Answer the phone, I'm calling you, I just want to say something, and I'm ignoring her. And the next day she said, you didn't see me call you? And I said, didn't you see me miss your call? And she said, but why did you? And I said, because mentally I was not ready to hear your voice. What's the problem? Because I said, if it's urgent, text me and I'll read it. But if you keep calling, I know you just want to have your time and you think it's just important because it's your time, but it's not important to me. If it was important and urgent, yes, I'll listen to you. If you text me and say, this is serious, then I'll take a minute. But if not, and that works for me all the time. I'll ignore you. And then I'll get to you afterwards. And I said, and I'm not going to say, I'm sorry I missed your call. No, I'm not sorry. I'm glad I missed your call. I know you were going to aggravate me, but now I'm ready to talk. Still want to talk?
Right.
And they'll talk because they know that's me. And so that's what I tell my kids. That's what I tell young people. Anything in life that's going to aggravate you, take a minute, and then you could get to it after. Respectfully take a minute.
And and not even, I don't even think like brutal honesty is the right word for that, but just being honest and being open with yourself about the things that like, listen, I know this is not good for me. Let me pay attention to that. Let me serve what I'm feeling, and really that can help us in so many different ways across the board, like if we really just implemented that, so I'm gonna take that advice myself, because it would help in so many, like, instead of being mad after the fact of like, all right,
Yeah.
now why did I do that? I already
Yeah.
knew
Mhm.
this person could XYZ, or this
Yeah.
had the capability to take
Leave it
me to
alone.
this height. We gotta
Yeah.
reserve energy.
I did that even when I was working. I would do that to supervisors. The
Mm-hmm.
supervisors would come up to me and I said, if this is not job related, if it's not urgent, don't talk. And they said, but I said, give me my space, don't talk. And they'll just walk away and I'm just sitting there like, and they'll come back and
Protecting
say,
your peace.
okay. Yeah, I said no,
Protecting
because
your
I know,
peace.
yeah, you're not going to say anything that's working for me. So please don't talk. I know you got some power. I know you're trying to prove your title, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
I got reported so many times I didn't even care. Insubordination. I said, no, it was just mental health. No, it's not. It
Yes.
wasn't necessary. That conversation
Yes.
was not necessary, and I choose not to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
You're
that's
not being rude. Yeah, you're not going to be loud and boisterous. It's like, mentally, I do not want to hear your voice today, Miss whoever you are. Can you step away? Come back in 5 minutes.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Listen, y'all take note. Take note. We
Mhm.
gotta mentally,
Yeah.
protect ourselves, protect our well-being, protect our peace,
Yes.
and really just live in that. I want to ask you a few more questions. I'm not gonna hold you too
Sure.
long. What does Juneteenth mean to you?
Juneteenth. That's as my pastor was talking about my pastor, but he's such a good mentor. As my pastor would say, that's legal pride.
Mm.
Because some people think pride, when you say you are proud, that's a selfish word. You can seem selfish if you use it wrong. But he said
Mm-hmm.
it's a legal pride. It's a pride that you're allowed to have, and it's a legal pride. Um, to for Juneteenth, we've come this far and we're able to celebrate uh, um, the emancipation.
Mm.
Because if it wasn't for Juneteenth, we would have locked out. Juneteenth is telling us that we almost missed the mark. We
Yeah.
almost missed the mark. And we got Juneteenth a second chance at seeing what happened. Some of the people had missed it for a year or something. So to celebrate Juneteenth and look all the way we are coming from, and everyone who gets to own their business, not just own their business, go to school, to participate in so many things that years ago we weren't able to do. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm always excited about Juneteenth or Black History Month or anything about our heritage. I'm always excited about that. So it means a lot to me to be a part of it right
Mm-hmm.
now, and to celebrate our heritage, teach that to my children, nieces, nephews, the young people at church, to respect themselves, to know it doesn't make sense for someone to fight for something for you and then your action is not appreciative of what happened,
Yeah.
because then it just defeats the whole purpose of what they went through for you.
Yes.
It defeats the
Yeah.
whole purpose for them to
Yeah.
go through so much, and then what are you doing to say thank you?
Yeah.
So that this is our way of saying thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for taking the stripes that we weren't able to take for ourselves. All the whooping and everything that you took, all the fighting that you took, and you pass it on to different generation, and say we keep fighting and we keep the fight going. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I love to say that it's a generational responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a generational responsibility in all of the ways that you said, because without those that paved the way, generations and generations
Mm-hmm.
like we wouldn't be having this conversation today. We
Right.
wouldn't be a thing. We would still be fighting physically
Mm-hmm.
and mentally in that space and that stage if they didn't,
Mm-hmm.
do the things that they've done and really set the bar and take a stand on so many different things so that change can be created. So
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with everything that you said, and I love how your pastor acknowledges it. That's very, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different aspect, it's a different perception on it, and it just makes you think, and it's like, oh yeah, hold on, yeah, it kind of is like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's something that we could definitely take time to think about. I want to ask you, this is a fun one that I always ask: who is your favorite hip hop artist, if you have one?
I don't have one. because it's not my thing. I don't listen to it that much, so I can't say I have a favorite one. But and if I do, it's usually for the creativity behind the dances. And so I always like watching Beyonce because she is so creative. So that's my
Yes.
thing. I love watching her. And Michael Jackson was my guy back then. And even now when I see some of his dance, because even if I'm not listening to the song, but the movements, and I'm like, okay, I like the way you just transition from that move to that move. So
Yeah.
that would be my thing, watching her and her dances. Yes.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Beyonce is the queen of
Mm-hmm.
just production, and like a Beyonce show is like something you've never experienced. Like it's like, whoa.
Right.
It
It's
the,
not just about listening to the song. So it's not
yes,
like
it's a
you just
full
go
production.
into, yes,
Yes.
everything all in one. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
love to watch that.
Yes. Um what do you want the community to take away from today's session?
Follow your dreams, follow your passion. Because even if you're doing something else because it pays the bill, find time to follow your passion. Because even
Yeah.
though I was working for the city all these years, I was still working with children, but that wasn't my full passion. I was still doing the writing on the side because that's my passion. I
Yeah.
could write all day and be excited. And so always, everybody has a passion. Everybody has something that they love to do. So always find time for your passion. Find time for your passion. Don't let the job take up all that time, because then that's where you lose yourself. That's where you lose who you truly are.
Yeah.
Not being able to follow that passion, whether it's just collecting shoes, doing plans, just window shopping and get, anything that you love to do, find time for
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
time for that.
Definitely. I always say if you could invest time, if we give it 8 hours to somebody else, how much time did you give yourself? How
Yes,
much time did you give yourself? How much time
yourself.
are you
Yeah,
willing to give yourself? Because you can't, put in the time with that and then expect your dreams and your passions to just happen in 5 minutes. Like you
yeah,
gotta nurture that. You gotta cater to that. You have to
yeah,
build on it. And just like you go and clock in somewhere else, you have to clock in for yourself,
yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's huge. And lastly, I want to ask you, and I always ask this question, it's a 3-part question. What is one thing that you feel you owe yourself now? What's one thing that you feel you owe yourself later? And what's one thing that you feel you owe yourself one day?
What I owe myself now is time. I think I owe myself time. Take time for me,
Mm-hmm.
because not all my kids. My youngest is 24, and I always said once they get out of high school, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
start working on me. And he got out of high school in 2018, and I should have started working on me then. But then the pandemic and so many things happened. I didn't get a chance. I did some things for me then, but I
Yeah.
think I got to work more on me now, because I'm not really, like, I got kids to support. I mean, he's the only one that's still home with me, but he's doing his own thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I owe that. And I think that will go for all three.
Mm.
Is take time for me in everything I do today,
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
gonna do in the future, because I'm always, as I said, always doing for others, always doing for my kids. Not saying that I'm complaining, but sometimes I gotta take the time. Every Tuesday I take a walk, 15 minutes walk to Golden Cross to buy a soup for my daughter
Mm-hmm.
and take it to her apartment, because every Tuesday she loves the soup that I have on Tuesday, the red pea soup.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so invested in doing that walk every Tuesday. She didn't ask me to, but I took it on myself, that because when she
Yeah.
gets home from work to go and get the soup, I'm like, I'm gonna go get your soup, take it to your apartment, I have a key.
Yeah.
So when you get home, your soup is ready, your dinner is ready. So I'm so invested in that every Tuesday to go and get her soup, make sure she has her soup when she gets home, And I think I need to invest in me also, that
Yeah.
maybe every Thursday I can say I'm gonna do this for me, and I'm gonna be
Yeah.
just as invested every Thursday to do something for me. So that's
Yes.
what I need to do. Be
Yes.
just as invested as I am in
Yes.
getting that soup.
I love that. I love that. You're
Yes,
gonna pick something and we're gonna yes. I love that. I
yes.
love for sure. And that's just mommy's love right there. Mommy's
I
mommy's a
know.
go
Just
above and
making it
beyond
easy
and
for her. Yeah.
make sure they got. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's just a mother's love. So, I definitely look forward to any future productions and ideas and projects and anything that you're working on to absolutely come back and chop it up and share it with us. We appreciate you. Before we get out of here, I want to say a few PSAs that we have today for any of our vendors that might be watching. We are still accepting vendors for the Juneteenth celebration that will be taking place June 15th. Okay. And we have a vendor information session that will take place Wednesday, the 29th. Okay. And that's at 7 p.m. Tap in with us. We will give you all the information about our perks and benefits and how you can showcase whatever your amazing talent or product is to the world. We got flexible payment options, all of those things. So please, please, please tap in with us. You can register. The link is below. umojaevents.biz/information session, or go to our website Juneteenth NY and check it out. Also, as I mentioned, the parade is June 15th. Make sure you register on Eventbrite to join us for this parade, or you can go straight to our website, juneteenthnyc.org/parade. Sign up, is free, join in. We got so many things happening, and it's going to be happening right in the heart of Brooklyn, Gershwin Park, that's in East New York. Come out. We're going to have an unforgettable experience of joy, fun, music, family, laughter, culture, and community. All right. So everybody that's tapped in, please, we would love to see you there. And that again is June 15th. All right. So we got a few more days, a few more weeks, but the time is approaching. So we want to see you there for sure. And that wraps up the PSAs. Lorna, I had a great conversation with you today. Thank you so much. And thank you for just pouring back into our youth and our communities. They are the future of tomorrow. So what you're doing today is absolutely useful and helpful. And, we need you. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I love it.
Yes, that wraps up today. Make sure you follow us. Please tell the people where they could connect with you as well.
Go to my website, www.creativeworshipINK.com, and you get the link to all my other social media sites. creativeworshipINK.com.
Yes, definitely tap in and make sure you follow me as well. That is Forever NBG on everything. ForeverNBG.com. Check out all of my old past things and make sure you follow my brand for sure at I Had a Praying Grandmother, and visit our store, I Had a Praying Grandmother.shop. And of course, again, follow us at Juneteenth NY, JuneteenthNY.com. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, all of those things. Okay, that's our time. Until next time, same place next week. I will be here. And we out. We love y'all. Have a good week.
Have a good week. See ya.
What's going on, Juneteenth family?
I have to take the lead, because if I don't now, when will I do it?
These are all dance groups mixes from since
Okay,
90.
and risks are important. Risk creates results.
Make sure that you surround yourself with not only the word, but with positivity.
Foremost, for having me on for Lunch and Learn.
We start off by wearing all of the hats. Pun intended right there with the hats. But we start
special needs children with disabilities.
I have over 30 years plus experience as a quality professional.
We basically reconstructing what we can part in deconstruct all the street manga. That's how we came up with street manga.
I almost had to deal with MCA Records at the age of 19.
Wait a minute.
I also partner with other daycare. We're not in a competition yet. We're not in a competition.